What's up, guys? Dave Van Auken here with Gillian the Savage Robertson, episode 12 of Mic Cuddles. That's what I was trying to signal you.
Losing count now. There's too many.
Dude, we're rolling. I think episode 13, we gotta get a scary guest. I think that's like a 13,
Scary guest.
Maybe like a really, really big, tough fighter. Maybe like Jose Shorty Torres.
That's the biggest one you can think of?
Yeah, he's the biggest, toughest guy I can think of. We'll see. Holy shit, how are you?
I'm doing good. Got some exciting news that came out this last week, so definitely on top of the world there. Just a little bit too far away right now. So I will be fighting Melissa Gatto on September 17th. So I'm super hyped to be able to have a fight, have an opponent, have a contract signed. Don't have a location yet, so still kind of waiting on that, but excited otherwise.
Okay, you just boom, you ripped the Band-Aid off. So much to get into. For one, it's been cool lately, like the UFC. So we haven't talked. It's been, I think, kind of in a weird way, like 2 weeks when we haven't talked like in a week. That UFC Austin show was the last time we talked. Right before that show. That show was incredible. I really think the crowd. They're back in Vegas, but they're in a huge arena for the pay-per-view in a couple of nights. But like, it's wild how much the Apex shows were like such the norm. And now, like when they go to these different cities like London or Austin, like 2 months ago they had one in Ohio, and like the crowds are crazy. Like they're so fiend on MMA right now. Are you hoping it's kind of Milwaukee or, Jacksonville or Phoenix, Arizona, or, of course, hey, another country, or you're like, nah, like just give me that Apex, give me that kind of low key feel?
Honestly, I love like the arena feel.
Okay.
When I fought Priscilla Cachoeira in December, that's the first and only time I've been in an arena since like 2 or 3 years, since before COVID. It's been a long time. It's been a lot of fights, and even my last fight was back in the Apex.
Right.
So I'm like, I've had so many fights in the Apex, back to back.
Yeah.
It would definitely be nice to be in an arena. If that's in Vegas, if that's somewhere else, I don't care where. Like, yeah. I'm open to traveling. Maybe not too far. I don't like doing a lot of that fight week, so maybe not out of the country, but anywhere in the country, I'd be 100% down to. But that being said, I do think it's probably just going to be at the Apex.
Oh, you do? Like you? Okay.
I'm just assuming that it's probably going to be at the Apex.
Yeah. And some of the fight nights have been so good. Like last week, I know to like the casuals, Gamrot and Circadian like wasn't big, right? The name, the fight was so fucking good. And like the whole card is so good. Like I'm loving these fight nights. Like the pay-per-views, of course, are amazing. That we'll get into this card in a second. Literally every fucking fight on this card's insane. But like these fight night cards are awesome. Like the UFC just does not put out bad cards anymore.
Oh yeah, I've been a huge fan of Gamrot for a long time.
Yeah.
And I've never really watched Sarukian too much, but to see them was that last weekend?
Yeah.
That fight was absolutely insane, top to bottom. Like, I was having trouble score a winner in that. It was just so back and forth. So many scrambles, just nonstop. Both of them constantly attacking. It was so impressive to watch.
I'm going to interrupt you. Not going to keep the flow of the conversation. I don't know why. Dude, you look awesome right now, Jillian. You look fucking ripped. You look lean right now. Like, are you doing this 115? Are you going back down? You look fucking awesome right now.
That seems to be the question.
Holy shit. Like I just popped, like we've been talking for 10 minutes. We talked 5 minutes before we got on air. I just like hit me like your shoulders and arms. You look awesome.
Yeah. I got on the scale this morning before training. So first thing in the morning, and I was 130.
Oh my gosh.
Dude. So it's definitely a large debate about going down to 115, especially because I'm so much smaller now. Like when I was training at ATT, say like 4 years ago, I was probably walking around 140 just because I was doing a little bit more strength conditioning. And now I've taken a lot of my time and focused all that strength and conditioning work onto technical work. So I'm not as much muscle, but I feel like I've grown so much more technically. So it doesn't really matter as much. But also me being so tiny now, it's not that big of a cut to 115.
But even with that, like, and I think you'll know exactly what I mean. Like, maybe this is probably a horrible word for it. I don't know what the other word to say. Like your girth, like you're not like thick. To me, like I know it's awful. I'm a fucking wordsmith for a living. I use girth. I don't know why. But you look very like lean and like granite. Like, Jen you fried last week. Like, dude, she's just like chiseled. She has like 12 abs. It's like amazing. And like, that's how you look right now. Like, you just look very lean and cut.
I feel like, honestly, and that's just like me living right now. I haven't been doing anything specific. I've been eating like fairly healthy, but nothing like I haven't cut carbs. I haven't really like I eat sugars or cakes or anything whenever I want. I generally keep it to like meats and greens and carbs for dinners. So it's like I'm eating fairly healthy, but I haven't really changed much up. It's just like I feel like my training schedule right now is just I'm literally at the gym 4 or 5 hours every single morning and then go back at night for another hour or two. So I feel like just me sweating that much, me being in Florida this summer has been starting off as something real. Yeah. So I feel like just all of that together is kind of making me just walk a little bit smaller, a little bit more toned.
Very true. And dude, she's not lying. I have texts. Like, you're at the gym. Like, we tried to like, hey, we're going to make the podcast this time or this day or this time. And I was traveling for PFL for Atlanta. You're like, Dave, like, I'm at the gym. It's like 8:30. I'll be here to like 1:30. Then I'm going to eat. I got the dogs. And then I'm going back to the gym. Like, can we squeeze? Like, you're an animal right now. And like, in a weird way, your fight's a little bit off. Like, do you in your mind, is it almost, you don't want to like overtrain, or you don't want to like almost like August 5th comes around, you're like, fuck, like I'm just kind of like, you almost popped already, or you almost, got to the top and then, you got another month to go? Or do you need to ease off in a couple weeks? How does it, how are you feeling about that?
Although I have been training a lot, I haven't really been pushing the intensity in training yet.
Okay. So it's like,
yeah, it's a lot of drilling. I have been doing some live rounds, but not like nothing like specifically focused hard on me like fight camp work. Because like when it comes down to like the last 6 weeks, then that's when we're really gonna go hard and really like I can't do that right now. I think I'm 11, 12 weeks out. It's like to sustain a pace like that for 12 weeks is gonna be impossible. I'm like, I don't even want to, I keep on telling people around the gym, I'm like, I don't even want to think about the fight yet. I'm giving it another like 2 or 3 weeks, and then we're going to start like thinking about it more, game planning a little bit more, and really getting into it. But right now I'm just focused on me and my training, making me a better all around fighter. We're just kind of almost pretending there's not a fight right now until we get a little bit closer.
All right. I'm sorry. Like, you just like how you did your arms. I saw the arm and I just took it that way. We'll go back to a little bit of the fight stuff. I know it's September at all. Are you allowed to talk about maybe you had an opponent before Gatto, or not really?
I think that's fine. I was signed with Karine Silva was originally the opponent, and unfortunately I believe it was an ankle injury that they said, or a knee injury or something like that. So she had to withdraw, but within I believe it was a day, I got another text of a name. So quick turnaround.
Really quick. And also just like as a outsider and everyone, like I've been seeing, like we posted it and other people posted it all. Like, I think this is like, I think a lot of people like this fight better. Like, not a lot of people knew the Silva. I don't, maybe 5-10 people, I don't know. But I think you and Gatto, like there's this very fun, young grappling. Like, I think a lot of people are looking very intrigued for the fight. I think it's a good fight. I think it's going to be like, on this card, right? So even UFC 276, pay-per-view stacked, and you got legends and Cowboy and Robbie Lawler everywhere. But that Munoz, Uriah Hall, like that's a sick fight. Like that's a legit fight that not a lot of people are talking about. So I think you on that card, wherever you're at, first, fifth, main event, whatever, like you versus Gatto, like that's a sick fight. I think a lot of people will like it.
Okay, I'm super excited for the matchup. I've watched her last 2 fights, just her 2 UFC fights. I remember watching her fight Sajara Eubanks live, and I was just shocked by that because I like Sarge is a G. I have so much respect for that girl. Yeah. So to see her to be finished by Gatto, I was like, oh, this girl might be real. And then went out with Tracy Cortez after that, and Tracy was kind of able to just do her thing, wrestle her a little bit, keep her on bottom, and I kind of see a similar kind of course for our fight, except maybe a little bit more ground and pound, a little bit more submission attempts. So, but kind of the same game plan in that, where it's like we're just gonna try to pick her apart and take her down and do my damage there.
And it's funny, Tracy's got like a lot of buzz since that fight. Like I feel like her name is getting. Seems like every 6 months there's like a new hot name of the division, right? It's just like kind of that's the flow of it in almost any division. But it seems like Tracy's kind of now the hot name of it. It's kind of intriguing. I'm excited to see what's next for her too.
I definitely feel like she's kind of been like, I don't know, not gotten the attention that she's deserved necessarily. I know she went up to 35 for a bit, but I feel like she is very talented, and it's just never like she's never really gotten the attention around that.
So there's a fight on this weekend's card, and it's like every third week there's like a Gillian Robertson fight, and I just like that's what I call it. And
we don't want to talk about this one.
What?
I said, I think I know what you're talking about. We don't want to talk about this one.
Yes. So second fight of the night, Macy Barbara and Jessica I. What do you expect is going to happen? Are you super intrigued is going to happen? Or do you want something happen so maybe something can happen for you next? What's your, synopsis on Barbara versus I?
Jessica I is definitely very tough. I feel like you can't just count her out. And I feel like she almost wins fight. Like she beats girls who are better than her by just being more tough than them. Yeah. Like she just out toughs people. So if anything, it's going to be that and like just the veteran in her that's going to be able to win the fight. But I feel like Macy just poses like a huge threat to her. I feel like that's an ideal fight for Macy.
Yeah. I agree. It's kind of, there's not a lot of like legit locks on the card because a lot of betting lines are close and there's just a lot of really great matchups. I think Macy over Jessica is pretty much of a lock. I think Brian Barberena versus over Robbie Lawler. Like I love Barberena in this match. Robbie's won one time since 2017, and that was against Nick Diaz, who wasn't Nick Diaz anymore. So it's just like, and he's just Robbie Lawler fights once every 18 months. Like he's not the guy that he was, of course, 7 years ago, which is kind of funny.
I was gonna say, I feel like him and Rory were never the same after their fight.
Rory. I've been with Rory for the last 2 days, and it's so crazy because even in the media day, people always bring up that fight, and he kind of like said something about he loves that fight, and it's like it's a iconic fight. Like if you in 15 years when you have a 8-year-old daughter, and you're like, and she's like, hey mom, show me, not you, but show me a UFC fight that, whatever. You're like, okay, let me show you Robbie versus Rory. Like, that's just one of those first fights that you want to show people. And he was just like, the fight was good. Like, it was great, but like, guys, I'm in the PFL now. Like, and then after that, he was in Bellator for a little bit. Like, he's so moved on. And, and one of the media members asked him that. It was just like, guys, that was like so long ago. It's like, he's like about to be in the, the playoffs for the PFL. It's just like, that's just, I don't know. It was an off question to me. I was like, let's move on. But he's wild. He's like, so like always zoned in. Like even Kayla, who's a monster in a great way. I mean that in a great compliment. But even her, like she kind of like lets her guard down, and we were playing ping pong downstairs, and she's like walking around very friendly, talking with people and stuff. Rory's like in a mode like 2 days ago. Like we fight Friday night and like it was Tuesday, and he's like
tunnel vision.
Yes, tunnel vision. And he looked really good. Like, some weigh-ins and some weight cuts are better than others. He looked phenomenal this morning. Like he weighed in. It was like the official weight cuts. He didn't look sucked in at all. He looked really good.
I feel like every fighter is different in how they kind of handle that like pre-fight of like how the energy that they're putting off, Some people are able to be a little bit more comfortable, whether it's like you said, like Rory, 100% tunnel vision focused in. But I feel like it's like you see that even like with how they interact with their opponents. Somebody like Cerrone likes to be friends with their opponents, where it's like other people, they like to talk shit, like to try to get in their heads in different ways. So it's like I feel like there's so many aspects to the fighter's mentality. So it's cool to see like you said with Rory and Kayla, just the diversity of it.
Yeah, and like probably Friday night at 9:00, both of them will be in that crazy, awesome tunnel vision. But like now, it's wild. Crazy. couple more things, UFC 276. I want to hit on the radio spot that you did in ESPN last week. We haven't talked about that. I thought that was awesome. I kind of want to hit that. Izzy, Cannonier. I think people are like, I love this Max Holloway-Volkanovski fight. Of course, Sugar Sean O'Malley and Pedro. Maybe you were in Pedro and American Top Team at the same time. Do you have any kind of like, oh, Dave, I cannot wait for this fight, or any kind of strong leans? Are you like, wow, Max Holloway's going to win? What you leaning on any of these big fights?
The Max and Volk fight, I feel like is like a fight that I'm like, it could go either way all 3 times. The first 2 times I wouldn't have been mad if Max won. I'm like, and this time I'm like, it's the same. It's going to be, it can go either way. It's going to be a close fight. And I feel like that one's going to be impossible to decide a winner.
Yeah.
But the fight that I'm actually really excited for would be the O'Malley and Munoz. I feel like that's a very interesting matchup. Munoz he's just aggressive as anything on the feet. He's down for like a slugfest. He's gonna like you said, I was at ATT at the same time as him, and the amount of times that like you just saw him in the pocket going at it with somebody. I remember once him and Edson Barbosa were going at it, and
his leg kicks are so fucking good, G. Like
one of the greatest rounds I've ever watched, and it was like for free in ATT.
Yeah. Holy shit. Someone told me a story about ATT, kind of just where you were at. The first time that Rosenstruck went down there, and this was probably like 4 or 5 years ago, probably at the very end when you were there, and Rosenstruck was about to fight for the title or the co-main event or something like that, and JDS was still there, and JDS at that time was still a monster, and they said like, it was kind of like, hey, Rosenstruck, let's see if you're going to like stay here and be a part of us, that kind of thing. So they went at it, and like a couple of the guys are like, holy shit, like JDS and Rosenstruck were throwing bombs, like just absolute killer bombs. And they only did it for a round because that's all they could do it for. And he was like, they said it was one of the greatest rounds you will ever see. And they're like, it was just like after practice and everyone just grouped around the cage. It's like, that's the best.
I'm like, that's one thing that's absolutely crazy about being in a room like that is to see, like, you're legit getting UFC matchups just on the mat after training.
Not like main events. Back to Pedro and Sugar real quick. My one call on that, I think I'm leaning O'Malley. A lot of people I'm talking to is leaning Pedro, to be really honest. Ryan Quinn, Elle Wagman, Felicia Spencer, they all pick Pedro. I think I'm leaning Sugar. He's the betting favorite. But the one thing I will say, my call is this fight does not make it out of the first round. I think these guys both go quick. I think Pedro will push Sugar to like fight back super quick. And I think Pedro's going to throw monster leg kicks, which is a little bit maybe the kryptonite to O'Malley. So O'Malley, 1, is going to get fucked up, or 2, O'Malley's going to counter him and then just be so smooth and so elusive and get out of those monster shots, and then will leave himself open and O'Malley will get him. So I think within 4 minutes, this fight's over.
Okay, I'm definitely torn on which way it would go.
Okay.
I feel like I want to see Pedro win this. I really want to see him pull it off. And I honestly feel like it might be an easy route to victory if he was willing to go for a takedown. But I don't know if Pedro would be willing to.
Everyone's saying that. That's so funny.
I've heard that
a couple times. Yeah.
He's going to sit in the pocket and bang. And I feel like if he does that, though, that's going to be his biggest issue, because that's where O'Malley's going to capitalize. That's where he's going to look clean and like be able to pull something off. So I feel like Pedro's just got to be really smart and like play on the outside and not fall into that dogfight, because that's when like O'Malley's going to shine.
So I think same thing with Strickland and Pereira. Like if Strickland makes this a boring fight and like grapples the amazing kickboxer, I think Strickland wins. I just think he's a better mixed martial artist. But if he bangs with Alex Pereira and Alex is long and lean and mean and throws knees and throws kicks, like I think Pereira will catch him sooner or later. I just think he will, and probably really bust up Strickland bad. I think he might even finish him. Strickland doesn't get finished that often, but that's just one of those fights. If it's a boring fight, Strickland wins. And if it's like fancy and out there, probably Pereira gets him. It's wild.
I haven't watched too much of either one of them. Ooh. But my head coach, Dean Thomas, last night, he was saying that he thinks that Strickland's going to be the upset of the evening. He feels like Strickland's going to be able to pull it off. I'm like, I've only watched one of each of their fights, but I could definitely see that happening.
Wow. Talking about a transition, Mic Cuddles, episode 12. Gillian Robertson's just throwing names to the next. Dean Thomas, you're on the radio with Dean Thomas, ESPN, West Palm. It was a really cool spot. And it was just like, it was 4 or 5 of you guys, it sounded like, on the spot. I listened to it. It would talk about that. And dude, you were killing it. Like, it's so funny. You always tell me, you're like, even years and years before we talk as much as we do now, you're like, Dave, the fight, I don't give a fuck. I'm fine. I'm happy. I cannot wait for it. Thursday media day or Wednesday media day, I'm scared. I'm petrified to talk to MMA Junkie. I'm like, gee, you're just talking. Like it seems easy. But you look like you were just a natural on the radio. So how'd you like it? Do you even feel yourself like, damn, Dave, I really am getting better. I'm really kind of getting a little used to it.
I am 100% getting better. I know that for a fact.
Yes.
But it's still definitely a huge struggle. I'm like, just from where I started, like, I just remember, like, I would have just a Skype interview. So not even like in person, just something like simple. I'm sitting in my own home with like an MMA podcast that has like maybe 100 followers or less. Like, just somebody who, like, I know nobody is going to see this interview. Like, it's the smallest little thing. And I would legit look like I got out of the sauna right after. Like, I would be sweating bullets. I would be so nervous. Just to have, like, just being on the other side of the camera was always hard for me. Or just, I don't know, having a mic in my hand. But so I'm definitely getting a lot better at it. I'm not sitting here just dripping sweat. But it's still definitely a huge struggle for me just to try. Even, I guess, from the podcast to radio, it was different. Even thinking. Yeah. Like, there was a couple times where I was like nodding and I was like, oh, wait, they can't see me. I have to say yes.
Yeah. He just said that.
So many little things that I feel like I'm still learning, I'm still working on, but there is definitely a lot of nervous habits that I've kicked. Like, if you listen to any of my earlier interviews, I think I giggle through like 95% of it.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Keep your giggleness. But I get you.
So we're getting better. We're making improvements.
It was just fun to listen to, and it was fun. You sounded just very natural and went back and forth. And then I don't want to be disrespectful, but the other female that was there, she had a great radio voice, and like they were talking about you. They're like, dang, like Gillian, like, have you ever done this? Like, she was saying like how you have such a great voice for radio. And it was just kind of cool. It was a good little conversation. It sounded like you were there maybe 15 minutes on air. Was it more, or was that about right?
Yeah, it was a little bit more than that, I think, but it was a good vibe. It was obviously with my head coach Dean Thomas, Josh Cohen, and then the girl there is Tina, and they do their show, I believe, every single day on ESPN West Palm. I love it. So it was awesome to be a part of. Yeah,
it's definitely something in a weird way, maybe in the future. Like, I would love to do like a daily thing, just because like now so much is happening in MMA. Like, I know it sounds awful, and I'm here in Atlanta, and like I'm really pro PFL right now. Like, they treat us really well, and just I know I'm with being at the shows, you get connected with the fighters, and you play ping pong for 2 hours. And maybe drink a couple cold drinks. Like, you get to be real with people. So, but with the pay-per-view of UFC 276, I feel like this PFL card is like being totally overshadowed. And it's like, there's a lot of young studs on this card. There's a lot of deep talent. And then just like the highlights of Kayla Harrison, Rory McDonald, Ray Cooper, who won last year's championship, a legit, welterweight, one of the top 10, 15s in the world. And it's like, I go to a lot of different MMA sites, like the PFL is like not being talked about. And it's like, damn, like it's crazy.
Yeah, that's definitely rough. And it's like there's not to say there isn't great talent in the PFL, it's like there's people who've come from the PFL who come to the UFC and are going on winning streaks. It's not like there's not the talent there. It's just so many eyes are on the UFC always. I feel like that's always its biggest pull. Even like a lot of fighters say Bellator is paying them better and doing like you can have your sponsors and things like that. But just at the end of the day, the eyes that you get on you with the UFC and the potential that you have with that, just like all the star power, because like you said, all the media outlets are talking about it, and it does make it harder for fighters like that you are in a promotion like PFL or Bellator or something. You just don't quite get that spotlight as much, but
Right.
the talent's all there. The card's going to be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and two crazy things that you said on it. One, I talked to a fighter last night who's been offered PFL and a Bellator contract, legit money, like legit as getting their first contract into a major organization, better than 12-12, right? Better than that. And they're like, they turned them both down because they want to be in the UFC because they know in a weird way, yeah, I might get paid 25 for Bellator and 25, but if 2-3 years of that, we'll see what happens. And 3 years in the UFC, like your name will and your following and all that is so much bigger. Just like, and the perfect name we said was Paddy Pimblett. Like Paddy Pimblett, and no disrespect, same thing. He's a really, really good fighter. He's a good fighter, but like his talent to where he's getting paid and his following and Barstool Sports is behind him and the eyes he brings, like it's nowhere fucking near. Like some of these PFL guys would whoop Paddy the Baddy, but his eyes in the UFC machine got behind him, and he's got a great talk and talent and all that, and just only the UFC machine can do that. And that's just the honest truth. It's wild. It's crazy.
It's just the opportunity behind the name that's so tempting, I feel like, to all the fighters. It's just the chance that you can be the Conor McGregor, you know? Like, they're even – so I feel like it's rare, like with the general population, if you're talking to them about MMA, it's rare to find somebody who knows anybody but Conor McGregor. But, like, to find somebody who knows, like, what Bellator is or what the PFL is, I'm like, I feel like that's so uncommon. Like, it's just the general public hardly looks at MMA in general. And then for those like organizations, like even people in general, they're like, oh, you do UFC?
Yeah.
Never you do MMA. It's you do UFC.
Yeah. Like no one says you do NFL. Like you play football in the NFL. It's wild. It's so funny you said Conor's name because we mentioned him last night in a podcast, a bet in one, because we mentioned Gamrot, he's the number 9th ranked lightweight. And we're here in Atlanta, Georgia. We're like in the middle of downtown. There's like the Olympic ceremony thing is right here. It's amazing. It's packed. We walked last night. It was just like packed everywhere. It was a Wednesday night. And I said, if I went out to 100 people and Conor McGregor's ranked 8th and Gamrot's ranked 9th, if I asked 100 people and showed pictures like who would win this fight, 8 or 9, Conor McGregor or Gamrot, 99 casual people would say Conor McGregor. But if I asked Gillian the Savage Robertson and Elle Wagman and Ryan Quinn, media members, 99 out of 100 say Gamrot would fucking destroy Conor McGregor in the year 2022. Like I think Gamrot would wipe the floor with Conor McGregor, especially grappling. So it's so wild how like the mainstream is so like not, I don't want to say knowledgeable, but it's like there's only 9 people they know. Like they know Diaz, Masvidal, probably one of the champions. Maybe, Usman's maybe get into that. Some of the Rose, maybe not even Rose Namajunas. I don't know. It's wild.
Yeah, even like talking like superstardom though, I feel like there's only 2 you can name, and that's Conor and Ronda. I'm like,
yeah.
Wow. I'm like, those are the only 2 that all of the general public, like they're literally like actresses or actors, like where they're movie stars of the sport. They just everybody knows them. Yeah. But I feel like besides those 2, there's really no one to do it like them.
Crazy. And it's like so we're almost at 30 minutes. I was going to let you roll. I have like so many other things. And like even with the UFC 276, and we talked about it, and we went to the co-main event and all this stuff. Like even a matchup like Jalen Turner and Brad Riddell, like we don't get to talk about. Like there's so many good fights, and like on a daily show, like what Josh does, and when and ESPN and Tina and stuff, like you would be able to like dissect the card more and really break down and really kind of like, dude, I could do 30 minutes easily on Volkanovski Holloway, like easy. And so it's crazy. I don't know, something I might want to do. The daily show. That'd be awesome. Maybe if my bookie, keeps on sending checks in the mail, we'll see. I don't know. So I don't know. Anything else? We're UFC 276, the radio, everything. Home life is good. You're all moved in, you're all set in, or have you not unpacked everything?
No, actually, that's been my debate. I haven't unpacked anything, but it's because I've literally moved like. I was at my last house for 6 months, I think, or less. And then I was at the house before that for like a year, I think. So it's like I'm just moving once a year or more often than that. So I don't even want to unpack right now. So I'm just taking things out if I need them. But other than that, I'm leaving majority of my stuff in boxes just because I'm kind of expecting that I'm going to have to move again sometime.
The life of the savage. Nope, only a few can do it. Only a few. Crazy that now you're finally booked in September. Taylor Starlin, August 27, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Our dear friend Hannah Goldie. We were so the family, the wife and I, we all went to Odin's birthday party last Sunday. It was awesome. It was such a good day. So like it was a pool party, but it was really cool because they had like two different sections, and they had like this whole play area, and we did the birthday cake for Odin and everything like that. And then it was the pool party like a little bit on the other side. It was a great day. Really cool day.
Oh, that's absolutely awesome. Yeah, I saw Odin was celebrating his 5th birthday, and yeah, it seemed awesome out there. And for Hannah, her fight's coming up soon, real soon.
She's leaving like next week.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm excited for that and ready to watch her do some work out there.
It was so funny on my Facebook. It was like 3 years ago. Like I think it was yesterday, and I just posted it. It was like Odin's 2nd birthday party, and we did something in Orlando. And then like we were just staying. It was before we had the twins, so we just had a little bit more freedom. And that night we went to Disney Springs with Hannah, and we're just like walking around. We ate and did some stuff. And I don't know if you've ever been to Disney Springs. They have like this really cool. It's like a boat, but it's a car. So like you can drive on the road, but then like in Orlando at Disney Springs, there's this big, huge water, this lake, a man-made lake. So like it turns into a boat. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to do this. And Hannah's like, I've always wanted to do this. And my wife was like, let's do it. So like we did this boat thing, and it's like it's the coolest pictures. It's like us on a boat with the sun of Orlando. It was awesome. It was a good day.
Oh, that's absolutely crazy. I'm writing that on the list of things that I need to do.
Yeah, definitely. Crazy. Awesome. Well, we did it. 32 minutes. Mic Cuddles episode 12 is officially in the books. Yeah, episode 13. If you're up for it, I think we let's get another guest. Did you? Oh, by the way, last thing, The Ultimate Fighter, another thing to watch. Did you see Hannah Guy's fight?
Yes, I did. I did watch that. And
3rd round.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say. I am absolutely shocked that that wasn't enough for a 3rd. I'm like, I don't get how the judges gave that the 2nd round and Hannah was the only one who did anything decisive in that round.
And like this is I don't want to like go down this rabbit hole because this can be a whole other thing. Like there's this I want judges to be in a fight, right? And like I always say this, like if you and I, or just not you, but if a normal person got into a fight outside in Atlanta, both people would throw punches and probably land in some sort or miss in some sort. But if one person can like grapple or wrestle or take down the person and kind of like hold him down or get to choke him or whatever, like that person wins the fight. Like, I don't know why grappling is so underrated to the judge's eyes. Like the other girl, and I forgot her name, no disrespect, she did get like Hannah early, like in the first 30 seconds of the round. But like a minute and a half into the round, Hannah got her, grabbed her, got her down, and was like so close to that rear naked choke multiple times. Like Hannah was closer to stopping her opponent than her opponent was stopping Hannah. But it wasn't a punch. It was a rear naked choke or an arm bar. It's like, I don't know why the judges can't comprehend that. I don't get it.
Yeah, Dean was talking to me about that too, how he's actually going to the judging conference coming up. But he was like, it's not specifically so he can be a judge. He just wants to learn what they're judging off of. He wants to learn the criteria and what they're learning to see, like, what is, like, nobody really knows. Nobody knows what they're judging off of, or, like, why they're looking at this way and they're looking at this way. Because, like, a lot of time, like, the same for, like, if a grappler sits on bottom and just throws strikes and it throws up submissions for 5 minutes straight, and a person on top sits there and tries to hold them down, the person on top usually wins. When the person on bottom is the one working.
Dean is going to come back after that conference. He's going to come back and he's going to be like, all right, Gillian, we have to have a meeting. We got to talk about this. And you guys are going to sit on the couch. And Dean's like, I got a couple things to say to you. And you're like, okay, Dean, what's going on? He's like, your fight style, you're not a grappler anymore. You are fucking a female version of Mike Perry. Like, that's all you're going to do. Just brawl, throw stupid fucking punches, be untechnical, just throw punches. If you hit the girl, you probably would win the fight. Like, that's going to be the thing. It seems like that's what they judge. Like, all they care about is like striking damage. But like, I don't know, sometimes in a fight, like you even say this all the time, like a lot of times you don't even feel some of the shit coming your way. But ask all those girls, ask Courtney Casey, ask all these girls that you choked out. They fucking feel it, and it's over. Like, the fight's over. They literally tap and give up. So I don't know. Crazy. I just like don't understand it. It's like they just are so disrespectful to the grappling side of judging, but we'll get off of it. Well,
I was going to say, it definitely makes it frustrating as a fighter too, for someone who I have 5 submission finishes at this time. And if any female had 5 knockout finishes, everybody would be like, oh my gosh, look at that girl. It would be something huge. But 5 submission finishes, everybody's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's nothing big.
Oh, Gillian's on this card? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Jeez. Crazy. But hey, September 17th, just get another one. You know, we're just going to get another rear naked choke and, you know, just going to keep on moving up. Crazy.
Keep on adding to the list. Another name.
Into the list. Awesome. Well, G, it was always a pleasure. Always fun. Easy as shit. 36 minutes, and it's like nothing. But yeah, we'll definitely link up next week. I'm telling you, maybe middle July, maybe the end of July. I definitely got to come down. We got to maybe go to that taco place again. I'm craving those tacos. And then, I don't know, maybe podcast live or something. I'll try to drive down to South Florida.
We'll figure something out. Make it cool.
All right. Sounds good. Awesome, G. Have a good one. We'll have this awesome outro.